Good morning. Today is our sweet potato update. I took these sweet potato plants a couple of weeks ago, and I'm sure you saw the video about these plants, and I had picked these off of the sweet potatoes and we stuck them in these little 4-inch pots. It's probably actually a 3-inch pot, and we just put them in here to root. Now, these did not have roots on them at the time, but they do have roots now, and I can tell because I'm just barely pulling up on each one of these, and we have good root. I just discovered something fantastic. Didn't know this before, but there's a blooming mushroom right there inside here. So that means we have good fungal growth in here, so that's a good thing. So I'm just barely gonna push the sides of this the tiniest bit just to loosen, just a little bit. I don't want to break up the root ball yet. I am gonna break it because we're gonna divide these and we're gonna repot them into these paper pots. So I just kind of loosened that. Now I'm gonna put my fingers right down flat on the soil to keep it together, and then I'm gonna push the bottom. I can see a root right there, so that's exciting. And now I'm just gonna, it's not quite given up yet, so here we go. Wiggle wiggle. I don't really want to break it up. So there's roots in there. There's not a ton of roots, and that's a good thing. Here's an earthworm right here. So we want to transplant these. In fact, there was no reason for me to put these in the 4-inch pot. I didn't know if they would root very well. I thought 1 or 2 might root, but I actually have had 100% because these in this other pot, they all rooted too. So it would have been easier to just put them in the paper pot in the first place. But I kind of thought this extra work might give you a little bit more knowledge of just how things can be done. So here we go with so I'm just going to take this apart. So here's this plant right here, and I'm just going to kind of pull that corner of the root ball, and I've kept this root ball together over here. Now that was, it worked out really well. Sometimes it doesn't work out good at all, but that worked out pretty good. So here's my new pot right here. I'm going to be gentle with this, not to break it up. Now I'm going to get some potting soil. I'm going to put it in here. And then I'm going to try to set this in here without breaking up the root ball. So the way I'm going to do that is just to kind of slide it in. The only reason I'm not breaking the root ball is I don't really want it to get disturbed and crack little roots, because this plant still is not super strong. It's getting there, but it's just started rooting, so I'm just going to gently tap it just to help settle some of the soil down. I don't know what the camera picked up, but these pots do have bottoms on them. These are not the bottomless ones. That way I can pick these up and move them around. So I will set these in a web flat, which is just a normal, let me show you what I mean. This is a web flat. So I'm just going to set these in here. And now these will not come out of the web flat until I'm ready to transplant, because once we water these, the paper becomes fragile. So I'll stack these in here, and they will live in this flat. And then when I need to move it, I can pick the flat up and move things around, and it'll work out fine. Okay, so let's get a little potting soil here. Now this is a worm casting that I've made. Just it's my normal compost. I have not sifted it, so it still has the big chunks in it, which is good because that's fungal food. Okay, so here, let's try to break this corner off now. Okay, that worked great. So I'm really happy. But if I let go, I'm afraid it's going to break. Which is okay if it does. Okay, so it's holding together. So now we're just putting this in here. Now this is a lot of work. It's a lot of trouble compared to what I could have done. I could have simply put the starts in these paper pots, but then it wouldn't have been as fun for the videos because it would have been harder to see that they actually rooted. Okay, there we go. Now that goes in the web flat. So just again, just a little bit of dirt in the bottom. Press it down just for fun. Now we're going to try to break this in half without breaking the root ball. So I'm just going gentle. I'm moving my thumb up and down as it looks like it needs it. That is a really huge hunk. I don't think it's going to fit in this pot very good. It's kind of a smaller pot. Actually it did, so we're fine. So just, I'm going to wiggle so that the fine parts of the potting soil can get down in there around the root ball. And if it's big, it breaks up the root balls a little bit right now while it's in the pot as I'm dropping it, not concerned. This is going to take off and do good. But these plants look really good. They never did wilt down and look bad. I kept them covered with plastic on top. They had one of those plastic lids on it like this. These lids that go on top of the tray. That was on these for about a week. And I would mist it every day with a misting bottle. Just a squirt bottle. Put a little dirt in there. So this is it. Anything I do beyond this point, I don't think I can teach anything new. I'm just going to try to put this in without it breaking up. That was rougher than I wanted to be, and it kind of broke off the top, but it's going to be alright. Tap it down. This one has that mushroom bloom in it. Right there. That shows me that I have a good fungal content to the soil when we start getting mushrooms growing. Now I have not done my research on sweet potatoes to know if they are a late succession plant that likes tons of fungus. But they certainly rooted wonderful, and there is good fungal content in the soil. So my guess is that they are. And how would you know that? Well, you could look it up online. I actually have a chart on my computer that shows common plants and whether they're early, mid, or late succession. But I don't like it because it's confusing. So I'm not going to share it with anybody because it's a weird chart. It's not a good one. I need to find a really good one to share with people. But there's not a lot of information on that stuff. So, anyway. So here we go again with the pot. I'm going to tip it this way, that way, just a little bit around the edges. And I'm not breaking up the root ball. I'm pushing up from the bottom and it's coming right out. It looks like I only have 3 plants in here, so I lied to you about 100% because I thought I put 4 in. But maybe this is all I had in the first place. I don't even remember. I don't see a dead plant there, so. Okay, here we go. I'm pushing down, and I'm holding it with my right hand there while I lift the pot off with my left hand. And then I'll gently tip it up here. And, oh, there are 4. That one was just pushed way over. So I'm going to tip this one over that way. Okay, it came apart really well. And it's rooted. You can see all the white roots in here, which is great. Couple more. It's a bigger pot, so I put more soil in it. Just going to slide him right down in without him breaking up. Okay, that's good. There's a hollow spot over here on this side where dirt didn't get, so I'm going to pull him this way and get dirt underneath that. I keep calling this dirt because my entire life I've always called soil dirt. It's just been in recent years that I've heard a lot of people trying to distinguish as they're teaching their classes between dirt and soil. And I certainly agree that dirt and soil are different things. But I have always assumed when I say dirt that I'm talking about good garden soil. So in my videos, when I say dirt, I'm not trying to be technical about a particular thing. So if you haven't heard that discussion before, dirt is just sand, silts, and clays with no good organic matter, no microbes that are making the soil function. So so when people in the modern world are talking about good soil, they're assuming when they say soil that we are talking about get that one pushed down good. So when we say soil, we're talking about a functioning soil that is filled with the sands, silts, clays, organic matter, and all of the microbes needed to make the soil function properly, so that you don't need man-made fertilizers and an arsenal of chemical warfare to get rid of pests. Okay, there we go. So this is good. I'm doing great here. Everything's working out. We have one last one, and there's a giant chunk here, so I don't need a lot on the bottom. And this potting soil is chunkier than normally I would use, but it's what I have right now. And it's cold outside. We got a beautiful snowstorm, so it's cold and all that stuff, so I didn't want to go out and fight the weather to sift this. So I'm doing it kind of on the lazy luck type. That's why there's so many chunks in here. But it's fine. These are going to grow just fine with the chunks. So here's my point. In my videos I often say dirt, but I'm actually referring to good soil. And I often will talk about soil and dirt interchangeably. Unless I'm being specific in a class and I tell you that we're dealing with only dirt, which means there's just sand, silts, clays, and the soil does not function. Alright, so here we go. We've got these transplanted. So that's 8 beautiful sweet potatoes. And we have more sweet potatoes ready to start from the original root. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll put those in. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this has helped to demystify some of the complicated things about gardening.